Tonight, we are here on October 12th, 2017, with Candace Shaw of Blue Valpo, and she's going to go over the Action Network and all different kinds of organizing tips and techniques, ways to get your information out there across social media, because we know right now that social media is really key to getting your message out. We've learned how effective it is and how cheaply you can do it, and how much you can accomplish with a limited team. So it's definitely something that we want to teach people how to do, and we want to make sure that if you have questions, you can get answers, and that you can have a good head start, whether you're going into campaigning for yourself, if you're helping someone else, or if you just want to learn more about the process because you're kicking the idea around. So thank you for joining us tonight. I am Amanda Knoll. I'm your host here at 92 County Strategy for the Activist Hour presentation series. And hi, Candace. So if you are joining us online tonight, you'll be able to view the online presentation. Candace is actually going to do a live presentation tonight. She has her webcam up, looking fabulous, and she is going to show us exactly where we need to go, what we need to click on, and what we're looking for, and what we can get out of these things tonight. So Candace, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad to have you back. We had you before, and I was so excited to get to work with you again.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. So hopefully, I know my little thing's pretty big, and I know everybody else can see it. So I'm going to shrink it and pop it on my left side. If anybody has a problem seeing what I go through, just pop a message in the little message browser over here on the bottom right-hand corner. That's where I sort of keep mine. I push my screen over there to the right. So I have loaded a couple different things, and if you happen to be on a computer, it might be good for you to follow along. So what I have loaded is the Action Network. And then another browser I have loaded Facebook. In another browser page I have loaded TweetDeck, which is Twitter, but it's Twitter that you can actually.
Holy cow!
What?
That's phenomenal. I'm gonna have to play with TweetDeck. That is cool.
TweetDeck's the way to go. And I'm just going to tell everybody up front, with Facebook and with Twitter, I have multiple accounts. So down here you can see the accounts. This just happens to be one of my TweetDeck accounts.
Okay.
And this just happens to be one of my Facebook accounts. But so I have, like on this one in particular, there are, let me see if I can unload here. On Facebook, I actually manage a lot of pages. I have about 4 accounts that I use predominantly for managing pages. These are all the pages I currently admin on this account. And I have
man, and I thought I had a lot to do.
This is not even my work one. So like that's
wow.
Perspective, you know. And the same with TweetDeck. I don't do as much with Twitter. I am not, you know, as versed in Twitter as I should be, although I do have a really strong base knowledge there. So the 2 social media pages that I have up are Facebook and Twitter. And then I have, as I said before, Action Network, which is an organizing network, and Slack, which is a really innovative program that is existing in the free space. People in business use it. There's some businesses that I work with that use it to communicate with each other instead of doing Messenger or things like that. They use Slack because it can be really effective at organizing. And I have the Cubs score. So I do live in Northwest Indiana, and I grew up as a Chicago Cubs fan, so I'm hoping they beat the Nationals. But it's real good right now. So what I want to do is get started in Facebook, actually.
Okay.
And the reason I want to start in Facebook is because that is really where I see most of the organizing happening today. Not because people are not organizing elsewhere, but because there's a fundamental level of volume where you can reach people there. And I really feel like that's why people are really involved in the Facebook space, is because there's just so many people that you can connect with there. It's pretty much where everybody is. Twitter has some limitations. They are getting ready to change the way that they function. So it could add some levels of being able to organize there when they allow us to use more characters in our
Hmm.
tweets. But there's also some, fundamental limitations to being able to organize people there. However, when you're
Right.
in a meeting, Twitter can be a really fantastic tool to use. If you're at the State House, I mean, sometimes during State House session, or if you're at a meeting of the party, you'll find a bunch of people actually tweeting what's going on in the moment. It's a fantastic way to keep up with exactly what's happening if you can't be somewhere in the moment. So,
Oh yes, I love Twitter. Everybody that's not on Twitter, I constantly tell them it is literally a live conversation with the whole world about anything you could want to talk about.
yeah, this is true.
So
So,
anyway,
one of the places I want to start is in Pages. And the second place I want to start in Facebook is in groups. So I
mhm,
know that we probably have a mixed level of people who are going to watch this, with their understanding of what you can do and what you can't do with groups and pages. If
right,
you've never been an admin before, what I would suggest is finding someone else who's adminning a page and just asking to help them with it, and just asking to help with a group admin. So I use my left menu a lot, and I use my search bar a lot up here at the top. I'm hoping everybody can see that. So when you come down to groups, you can click on groups, and then you can see, well, somebody invited me to that. I'll have to check it out. Um, so these are the groups I happen to use today. It shows up in my favorites. And
right.
it'll list the groups that you manage, and then it'll list the groups that you actually belong to. So I belong to tons of organizing groups. My Progressive Friends, Progressives in Action, Finding Way Forward, Middle Rowers, um,
Valparaiso upscale garage sale.
right? Who can't be in?
Hey, I'm all about those garage sale groups too. I feel you. But I love this. See, this, a lot of people, I love here how you have a mix of local organizing things as well as state level organizing things. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in one level or another and don't realize the intersectionality. So it's nice to see that you have a really great mix on here. So that's a really good example for people to follow.
Yeah, so I don't live in Southeast Indiana, and I know Indivisible's changed their rules since the time that I joined, but I joined
Mhm.
a lot of organizing pages from across Indiana because
Mhm.
I really want to know what other people are saying. I want to know what
Exactly.
other people across Indiana think are issues, whether it's local issues they're dealing with, whether it's state issues they're dealing with, or whether they're dealing with federal issues or international. So you'll see,
Right.
like, Southeast Indiana, even though I live in Northwest Indiana, right here. So this
Right.
is my backyard. Blue Valpo is my backyard because that's Valparaiso, Indiana. So
Right.
I'm going to go to one of the pages that I organize, um, and just sort of show people, what you can do. Actually, I'm going to back up a second because I think what we need to start at is right up here. This is how you create a group. You just click a button, and I can make a fictitious group up if I wanted. You can give it a name, a fictitious organizing group. And I'm going to add Amanda, spell her in there. So one of the keys, and this is really a fundamental thing that I want to show, there are 3 different settings in Facebook for groups. You can have a public group. If you have a public group, anyone can see the group. Everyone and anyone can see the posts inside of it. They can see all the members. They can pretty much see anything. They don't have to be a member of the group. When you have a closed group, which is the default setting when you set up a group, anybody can find it in the search bar up here. If they were to type the name in, they
Right.
can see who's in the group. And the difference is only members can see the posts. If a member was to share a post to, say, another page, it would show up as attachment unavailable. I think all of us have seen attachment unavailable happen. Like
Right.
for organizing pages, that's usually what you're seeing, is that someone shared something from a private group, whether it's closed or secret. Um,
Right.
if you click the link and it's a closed group, then it will take you to that group's landing page in Facebook, and you can see the group name.
Mhm.
You can see the members in a closed group. In a secret group, only the members can find the group. You could search all day long in that search bar and you're never going to see it. And only members can see the posts. Only members can see the other members. So I just wanted to sort of go through that because that is one of the keys. When you create a new group, I pin mine with shortcuts so I can find it in that left menu bar we started.
Right.
So once you get your group created, you can come in, you can, change the group photo up here. One of the keys that I found is, I just Google, and I apologize, I'm on a Mac, I don't know if everybody's familiar with that. Facebook every once in a while changes their image sizes. They haven't lately, but you can get, if you Google Facebook image size cheats, you can get something like this that gives you all of the cheats in one big spreadsheet.
Oh man, that's a fantastic. Oh my lord, that's maybe. Do you know how much time I have spent cropping and editing pictures to try and get them to fit? Oh my gosh.
And it's so like, if you want it, let me find a good one here. This is really important because, like you said, you will spend tons of time doing this.
It doesn't seem like a big deal. And if you've only made a couple of groups and they've been haphazard and and you've not really put a lot of effort into them, it may not be something you notice. But if you use your group a lot or your page and you're going back and forth between like your phone and your computer and tablets and things like that, you really start to notice when you have, your cover photo and your profile photo and they're not converting well. So it kind of looks unprofessional. And so it's just one of those little things that people don't think about that can really make a difference when someone lands on your page on whether or not they click like and follow.
Absolutely. And if they land on your page, this is the key right here. It's not just
Right.
about the space you're given, it's about the space that they're going to see and how you can use that.
Right.
So pixels is how all screens are measured in. It can be hard for people to understand the conversion at times, but if you have any kind of design software, even the most basic design software, you can change it from inches to pixels.
Oh yeah.
You just enter the size and it makes it fairly simple to get in there and create the correct size that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, I use Microsoft Publisher a lot, and I use like Google, like the Google Suite and stuff a lot. And I think the one I use, it actually brings up a percentage initially, and
Okay.
you can click on the option to do pixels.
Yes.
So that's another way you may see it set up.
You can click through, like what you're talking about, if you can click and actually find a way to change the pixels, that's number one. I need to update my photo. I'm just going to tell you right now because number one, summer's over. We did, as Blue Valpo signed up to be a part of the People's Platform during the summer, and we did some with it, but it sort of did not take off with on it. But I was actually looking for other people to take leadership on sending me what is it that we need to do to be in the People's Platform. And it
Right.
sort of cooled down a little earlier than I thought it was going to. So this is the
Yeah.
basic landing. When you're an admin, you can change your group photo, which if you hover, you get that to happen on your computer screen. So A lot of times it's good to use a computer screen. Other times it's really fantastic to use your phone, depending on what you're doing. So I use both. And I want to try to invite as many people as possible from my group to that event. I do it on my phone because I have been put in Facebook jail. I can't even tell you how many times for inviting too many people to events.
Oh,
So
me too.
yeah, there's some tricks to it, but using your phone is one of the tricks. You're less likely to get put in jail if you use your phone for whatever
Nice.
reason. So once you get your page set up, you'll want to come in and, you know, put a photo up, and then you're also going to want to actually come over here to your description and edit that. So Blue Valpo has a long description. When we were first organizing, I posted this a lot because the way Blue Valpo is set up is as a secret group. So you cannot type Blue Valpo into your search bar up here and to the Blue Valpo group because it is a secret group. You will get to the Blue Valpo page, which we have kept public, but the group you're not going to get to. And this is where most of our conversations go on. Okay?
Right.
Local organizing group. Right now we have about 950 some members in it. Valpo is a town of about 30,000 people.
Wow, that's pretty nice, though.
Yeah, we are having some attrition out of the group, which in my opinion is to be expected. From what I see on other groups and pages, not pages, but on other groups, that is happening as well. So it's just about the time that we are and how hot people were on it after November 8th last year on the resistance.
Right.
And now some people are realizing, yeah, I just don't have the time for that a year later, you know? So
Right.
I actually find that to be okay because I really do want to know who's going to stick with it in the long term. And in
Right.
what form do I want to, you know, keep subjecting people to politics in a way that they are not interested in being involved and engaged.
Absolutely.
So you can see all your members. If you're an admin, you can see them here. You can see who's added and who's not been added. You can see who added them. So the way I set up Blue Valpo, it is a secret group. You're never going to find it in the search bar. It is a member-driven group, so other members are responsible for adding new members to it. And we talked about that a lot in the beginning. But fundamentally what's happened too is there were people who were getting added that were not really progressive liberals. And
Right.
I am not of the school that I want, this page is not for arguing with people on the other side. Most of us here in Valpo have plenty of that because we are a town in transition in Indiana. We're a town transitioning from very conservative leadership to very progressive liberal leadership. So we are about 50-50. I feel like there are more progressive liberals here in Valparaiso than there are conservatives here right now. But we do end up having a lot of conversations with people that we just needed our own space to be able to organize it. Now, that
Oh, I
doesn't,
understand completely. And I noticed as you scroll through it, and when I look, whenever I get in there and I read through, one thing that is nice that you have adhered to is that it's not a meme dump. Too many of these organizing groups become meme dumps where people are just dropping in memes and aren't really using it for effective organizing, discussing events and discussing ways to get the message out and create those platforms. So that's one thing that's really great about being a part of the groups that you work with, because that's something that doesn't really happen.
yeah. Well, we had some problems with the memes in the beginning. We also had some problems with people posting from non-reputable news sources. And
Right.
there's a very big learning curve on that. And I spent, and so
Oh yeah, there is.
we spent so much time in teaching mode on that. We did end up going to our settings as a group and changing those so that we could, I mean, right now, if someone submits a post, it does have to get approved. So,
Right. And that's common for a lot of organizing groups.
because if you don't want all of the memes, I mean, I can take you to a group that's got tons of the memes. If I want to go look at memes, I know what group to go to. If I want to organize, I also know what groups to go to.
Yep.
Our group happens to be one that organizes on a very local level, but we do organize around issues that are at all different levels of government. So we don't restrict that. That has been that way since the beginning of the group, although we have had conversations off and on about people who want it to be one way or the other. And so we've never actually changed that in the beginning. Sometimes changing what your group does when you've brought a bunch of people on and changing it midstreams, that will turn people away. So we have to be very conscientious about that. But if you go into group settings, you can change everything and get it, you can change your privacy settings, you can link pages, you can add a location, you can add tags. I don't find tags very useful in a group, especially ours that's secret. I mean, if it was a public group, I'd probably add it. So you can see we have any member can add or approve members. Posting permissions. Members, moderators, and admins can post to the group, but post approval. All group posts must be approved by an admin or moderator. This is how we chose to run this group. You can make your own decisions on what you want to do. So one of the big keys is to go out and get members, and you have to communicate with people and invite people and start adding people to your group if you're starting a new one to bring in the members. And so you can see, you can look at all the members, you can look at the admins. We did block 2 people at different points in time. We've had lots of people come in and lots of people leave, but you can always see all of the members. There was a period of time where we had so many new people coming in December and January, where I was sending an initial message out to people so that they could know what our group was doing. However, I also got put in Facebook jail for sending too many of the same message through Messenger to new members. So that became a problem as well. But if you wanted to, you could look here. One of the big things, I'm going to show you some of our events. So you can see our past events. We have tons of events that come in to our group. And are really big key to organizing because they do show up in the Facebook, with the Facebook algorithm. They show up in the newsfeed very differently than a page does. And when you have a group and you create an event, you can invite your members, and it's a great way to connect with your members when maybe they're not all connecting on every post that happens in the group. So I found it to be really effective that way. You can upload files in groups, and we've uploaded some. We have our description. We have a script for calling political representatives that they can adapt. We have our contact info. We have some of our old agendas. When we were first organizing, people were really wanting to see our agendas. We were having like 70 and 80 people show up to meetings at that point in time.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot of people. And so people were wanting it. I posted it in there. Then, we ended up to Slack eventually. And then now we just use email predominantly to spread information like that. One of the cool things, and I'm not sure if everybody has this on theirs, because I ended up messaging Facebook to get group insights installed on my group because I was upset because I didn't have them. I'm used to being able to see insights on my pages. And so And so about, I don't know, maybe February or March, I'd messaged them and said, I need to have insights. I knew they were offering it to other people, but they just had not set it up on my page. Within 24 hours of me messaging them, they had set it up. Group insights for your organizing groups are critical. So as you can see, we're in an attrition mode, which I'm comfortable with. I don't have a problem with that at this point in time. If we were losing tons of members, I would be concerned about it because it's probably content oriented and not, which actually some of these members are leaving because of content. That's a whole other story. But I'm also happy to see them going. We recently, I'm going to go to engagement to show you. We recently had, like right there and here, we had some peaks. Like you can see, we had Let me find it. Where was the October? You can see we had peak involvement in our groups where we had well over 50% of people coming to our page, because
Wow.
these are aligning with our city council meetings. We've had some really contentious city council meetings lately. One of them was
Oh.
over getting the resolution for hate groups, condemning hate groups. It took us, and Amanda, I'm sure you remember, it took us a long time to get our city to approve that. It just recently happened. Charlottesville was
Yeah.
well over 6, 8 weeks over before we were able to get it approved. It was contentious.
Wow.
We had a big drop off because of that.
Hmm.
Whether people were just not wanting to get engaged on the local level, or if they could have potentially actually had issues with us supporting that kind of resolution, but they left. And, you know,
That's unfortunate.
yeah, that is what it is. To me, I think that's, they probably were not a good fit in the group. So,
Yeah, and it could have just been the last straw for some people. And to be honest, there are some people right now that are just so burnt on all of it, and that's a very privileged thing to say, because to be able to just be burnt on it and turn it off obviously means you come from a place where it's not affecting you as strongly.
mhm,
And I think that people are definitely, when they have the ability, tuning out. And it's up to us to make sure that they don't do that. So, I mean, if you're out there and you're being loud about things and you're trying to move that conversation forward, and they're not along for the ride, that's okay. They'll pick it up somewhere else along the way, hopefully.
yeah,
That's all you can do.
that's true. And I think they will pick it up just, next year when it's an election season. I wouldn't be surprised if we had more people join back in our group again.
Oh, absolutely.
No, that's just, there's going to be a normal ebb and flow that happens because some people, for whatever reasons. But you can see, how many people are engaging with posts, how many comments are happening on specific days, the reactions, you can see all of them together. I'm a
This is
date
a
head.
really nicely active group.
Yeah, actually, we have more activity than it may seem when people come to the page. But
Yeah.
I mean, look at this one. We had 141 comments on this post, partially because
Wow.
it was a controversial post, you know,
Right.
but you can see 420 people looked at it. Uh,
Right.
this one about the local dog park also was controversial. People had a lot of opinions. So our controversial posts end up being more engaged. This one was not as controversial. This is after the day after the city council voted to approve the anti-hate group resolution.
Right.
And so we did have a lot of people looking at that. Well over half of the people in our group, pretty darn close to it, comments,
Wow.
likes, and reactions. So you can go through and see that kind of stuff. What I've also found, this right here, the download details. Once you set up a group, you can download details. You get such a bigger picture of what's going on in your group. You can actually
Wow.
see the top contributors, under more member details. You get 10 of them if you look here. And I'm going to pause right
That's
here
a
because that. There is, I mean, I don't
wow.
care what organizing group, and Amanda, I will challenge you to go to one of your organizing groups that you admin and show me that it's not women who are doing most of the work here.
Oh,
So,
it's definitely women. It's
yeah,
definitely women that are doing it.
it's sad
But
for
I
me.
think that goes back. I think it goes just to the whole multitasking thing. I think it's just. I think it's a just kind of an integral brain function that we're natural multitaskers, and I think we're fixers. We're naturally fixers. And I think that's just kind of where it comes from, because this is reflected all across. Women are getting involved so heavily, and
Absolutely.
I think it's that fixer mentality, and it's great.
So that's a common thing to see. You can see too, we have some people from Chesterton because they don't have an organizing group up there. We do
Mhm.
have people who say they're from Chicago, but most of them live in Valpo. We have some from Portage. Quite a few elected officials in the Democratic Party are from Portage. Some
Mhm.
who moved from Crown Point to Valpo. So we
Oh
do have
wow.
a mix, but you can see all that stuff. I mean, this shows someone in Switzerland. They could be on vacation, you know. So it is
Oh
sort of a,
wow.
but the download details is really key. And what I will do generally when I'm downloading details, if I want to get a good picture of everything, I do all, number one. But I will also do the last 28 days, and I will also do, well, excuse me, I'll change it to last 60 or a custom. So I could pick from like the beginning of time when we started this if I wanted.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then I will also do the last 7 days, especially if I see people leaving. I want to figure out who's
Mhm.
leaving and maybe if it's related to a post or something so I can gain understanding. I'll do that.
Right.
So, I'm going to download it. It's going to pop up here, hopefully. Uh, Maybe. There it goes. So when I open it, and this is an organizing strategy when you run a group. So you get all of these tabs at the bottom. You can check out your members' age and gender. But if we're getting ready to deal with a big issue, like we really rallied around the resolution because it had so much pushback from the conservatives in our town. They did not want to support the resolution, and we pushed that baby through. We don't have a liberal mayor, we have a Republican mayor, and we have a Republican-controlled city council, but we pushed it through. So you can pull your contributors. So when I'm getting ready to potentially organize people, I'm going to pull that contributor list. And if I don't have the email for some of these people, I will go through and send them personal messages because these are the people, the top 100 people that are the most engaged in your group.
Hmm.
So if you really want to get people engaged on one specific issue, if you need them to turn out for a meeting, if you need them to go to State House, if you want them to come to a party meeting, you want them to, run for precinct committee person in January, you need to be pulling these lists, save them, because there will be some fluctuation in them, but you're going to want to know, and most of these people I know because I see them in our group all the time,
Right.
but I don't have them in a list format. So this helps me with workflow on the group.
Yeah.
It
This
makes
is
it a
this
lot,
is fantastic.
yeah, it makes it a lot simpler. And then if I have their emails, a lot of times I'll send messages and say, hey, we're going to be sending an email out. If you want on our email list, give it to me. And then I'm collecting emails and I manage all of those emails through, I do always store them in an Excel format, no matter what. Even if I'm using MailChimp, even if I'm using Action Network, I will always store them in a format so that when I need to contact people, then I can. So
Yeah.
those are the basics of running a group. Um, and so what I'm going to do now is, if my screen will go with me, I'm going to come over to Pages. So I went back to my home up here. And then if
Okay.
you wanted to start a page, and pages and groups have different features. Groups are really great for holding conversations. Pages are they're publicity pieces. They're PR. You get to control the complete message. It runs very differently. So we do run a page. So these are all the pages that I like, number one. And by the way, this lady is Republican. This is the first Republican I've supported in a primary in years. But she is running against Representative Jim Lucas for State House in District 69. And I'm thinking about going and walking her district in the primary season just to make sure that she's not win. So he's the guy who's, wanting to do the permitless carry for guns. He's done
Oh wow.
really egregious things for women's rights in Indiana, and he's just a buffoon. I mean, to just put it mildly, completely incapable of holding meaningful conversations. And he ends up in hot water over and over. So if I have to support a Republican, I'm glad it's a woman that's running, and she seems very sharp. She's probably not on the same page that I am with women's issues, but she is night and day compared to where we are with Jim Lucas, and I feel like that's a huge step in the right direction. So if you want to create a Facebook page, you click Create Page. So once again, go to your home, come to your left bar menu under Explore, click Pages. You can see all the pages you like, and you can choose to create a page, or if you're already adminning pages, you can click Your Pages. So I'm going to create a page just to show everybody how to do it. So most of the time with organizing, this is what I choose, because you get some different features that you do need when you're organizing. So you make it a cause, and I'm going to say Valpo for women's rights. I'm going to shut this page down pretty much as soon as I start it. But so you click Get Started. And I apologize, I have slow internet connection. So
No, that's okay.
I just started the page. The first thing I do, and people, I don't know if you noticed, I have a lot of pages that I admin, lots and lots of them. I've been adminning pages for upwards of 10, 11 years. So the first thing I do when I start a page is go under Settings, and this very top one, it says Page Published. When I start a page, I don't want it to be published. I want it to be unpublished. I time my publishing of pages. And you just fill this out and you unpublish it. And then what happens is it's not visible to anybody. It allows me to work on it without everybody, you know, without people joining it, without people doing whatever. So just like you can add a cover, you're going to want to add a cover to your page. Once again, just Google Facebook image size cheats. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the events. Facebook image size cheats, and then click on images. And you can actually get your image sizes there. You can do the same for Twitter too. Twitter has different sizes from Facebook. So you can get your Twitter cheats here too. You just, I mean, it's simple as a Google thing. So
fantastic.
yeah. So change your cover, change your profile picture. Everybody knows how to do that. And then you're going to want to go back into your settings, and it's loading. There you go. So you just have to start going through all the pages, and filling it out the way that you want. One of the things I do at times, I have set up age restrictions on some of them. For some political candidates, I've set up profanity filters.
Yeah, we actually have a profanity filter on a singular 4-letter word.
Well, I've added some other stuff. I have had candidates that are, well, female candidates, you know, you're going to want to block specific derogatory words that people may come on, especially if you're going to be paying for ads. Or if it's a person of color, you're going to want to block some of the derogatory words post. So you can add your own to the profanity filter. You can change the settings on it, but I think that's pretty important too. Choose whether it's in multiple languages or not. Up here, we allow that. If people are going to post in Spanish, then we just leave it there. People who get involved more, eventually you may need to merge a page. I would be happy to go through a tutorial, or people can message me if you ever need to do that. It is complicated. It takes about 48 to 72 hours to complete the Facebook process, and you have to know which page you want to show up in the end. But when you merge,
we had that happen on one.
You'd be surprised. It happens more times than you realize. And sometimes what I've done in the past, and I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to add another tab real quick. But for some of the pages that I've managed in the past, like the Who's Your Voices page, let me find it. We've actually went in, like if we know a page is just sitting. Nobody's posting on it anymore. We may go and
Right.
say, why don't you let us merge the pages together so that, your new page will be included. So, and I'm just going to say this, we do a lot of public education pages. We actually, like, this is not what I would design for a client. This is intentional. So there are some reasons to make things look the way that they do, which is probably a lesson for another day. But, there are times, like we use yellow school buses all the time on our public education organizing pages because yellow
Right.
will get people to do whatever. So anyway, go through each of these. Your page rules are really key. That's something I find a lot of admins have questions about. It defaults to editor. So like if I wanted to add Amanda as an admin, I would have to come over here and you get to choose what level you add them at. And you click add, it'll ask you for your password. I actually do not have my password memorized. It's over 24 characters. So I would put that in there, you click submit, and then that person will be added as an admin. You can connect your Instagram account to your Facebook account if that's something you want to do. I don't find that particularly valuable with adminning on Facebook, but that is something you can do. You can also connect your Twitter account to Facebook, or you could connect Facebook to Twitter. Either way, if you so choose.
Yeah.
So,
At one point, I had a Facebook and a Twitter linked up in both directions, so it didn't matter which one I was hanging out on. They both got all the information.
right. So it cross-posted whenever you were on one. If you happened to be in
Yep.
Facebook to make your post, it would be on Twitter, vice versa.
Yep.
So that is actually a really good strategy to use. Edit page is really sort of one of the keys. Oh, doggone it. My Google Home's talking to me. I apologize if people hear that. But you can adjust the way that your page looks here. You can change your template that you're using. I mean, a lot of this is just point and explore type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back to your page, if you start a page, you will also, I'm not showing because I have nothing set up. Go to your About section. This is where you can create a custom username for your page. I highly recommend doing that. Makes it easier to find. If you have a phone number, an email, a website, or periphery accounts, you can add those. Now, Amanda, you work with 92 County Strategy. It is a political action committee. It is organized legally as a political action committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as you well know, and I know you know because it's on your photo for the event, that you have to put your paid for by at the bottom. That is one of the big legal requirements. For political candidates, for anybody with a Facebook page, you can add it there under Impressum. And it's technically on your page. It will show up. You could put, paid for by the committee to elect, Jane Doe. And you click save, and you are golden.
Yeah.
That. So you can add team members. You can create a story. Tons of stuff to do here. The key is the About page. The other key is settings. And that's pretty much it.
So let me just rephrase. So the impressum, because a lot of people actually ask about this. The impressum is basically like any legal disclaimers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good clarification for people. That I have actually had several people come to me and ask me about that. That was one of the things that prompted this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good to know. Impressum,
so
legal disclosures.
Elected official. I can't see his impressum in here right now. Am I not seeing it? There. Authorized, approved, and paid for. We chose to make that the statement. All you have to legally say is paid for by, and then the legally organized committee name. And you put that under Impressum. It will always show publicly the way that it needs to for you to be legal. So that is really, really key if you're running a political action committee, whether it's a candidates committee or an advocacy group that has formed as a political action committee. You do not have to put that impressum if you are a 501c3, 501c4, 501c6, like a membership org. You don't have to do that for those nonprofit groups. However, I would probably suggest doing it just in case. So I am going to go to, the Hoosier Voices group because I have not been there doing parts of what I do in a while. And then we're going to move away from Facebook and move over into Action Network. So Hoosier Voices, okay. We've done tons. We've been doing this for years and years and years and years and years. And I have a co-admin for the page. He actually started the page. He lives in Indianapolis. I've only met him one time in my entire life. He is one of my good friends. He's one of my best friends. So
hey, in the age of technology, I think that's pretty common.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, and the reason I'm bringing you here is because of insights. So when you organize a page, you're going to want to come over to your insights. I mean, I'm a huge data monger. You have to understand your data. You have to understand who's using it. So, you know, number one, I could also show you, again, you get the choice of the 7 days, 28 days. You know, you could do a custom range. This one, instead of saying download data, it says export data. Export your data. You get to choose your parameters when you do that. Once again, you can do page data, post data, video data, all of it. You know, you get to choose your date range. You can do a custom range, whatever. Good info to keep. You do not get the same info on members as you do in groups. It can be harder to manage the people who like a page. And I do recommend, this is my personal preference, and my co-admin on this page, and I've had multiple discussions about this. I'm not interested. I see some organizing pages like Periods for Politicians. She lets anybody post on there. We really don't do that on this page. Most research that political scientists have just conducted on the use of social media and what it can be used for as far as organizing goes, it does not support the idea that you're going to be able to convince anybody who does not already agree with your position. So we will ban people who are contentious because it does nothing to help us organize. And our goal is it's not to have conversations and try to convince people on social media. You know, the only place you're ever going to convince people is over a kitchen table or in person. You're never going to convince people of anything on social media. That's just my personal experience. I know people will disagree.
Absolutely.
But we're here to organize. We're here to organize people who support ideas, and so that's what we do. On pages, you get some interesting things you don't get in groups. So we watch other pages because we want to know page likes. Most of them are pages that are sort of similar. Indiana Progressive Liberals we watch, they have a lot more people. We watch their number of posts. They get paid, number one. We don't get paid to do this page. There are about 10 admins on this page. There's only 2 on the page that I'm on. So that is a really key thing because you can just sort of watch what's going on with other pages and see what they're doing and see if you're falling behind or not. But the one thing that we really, and I really want to emphasize this because it doesn't matter when I get hired to work with a client, they could be doing social media for years. I've never met anybody who realizes consistently or is training people consistently to do this one thing. So I went to Insights, then I came down to my posts. It gives you your top 5. I clicked See More. And then what I'm going to look for is our engagement statistics. So I want the reactions, comments, and shares. And I want it to go the F way. Why is it not working? Well, let me just use this one. So this one has 309. You can come in and sort. That's what I'm trying to do is sort, but it's not really letting me sort today. And it has to do with my internet connection because I've got multiple things going. But this one, we had 309 engagements on this one. So what I want to do is sort and find our highest engaged posts. We reached 2,000 people on this. We had 23 likes. And when you go into the people who like, if you're an admin, you will see this. If you want to increase the numbers on your page, you invite these people.
That's fantastic.
They're engaging with your page anyway, send them the invitation. It makes the world.
That's, oh wow.
It's super simple, but I mean, look at all these people who are engaging with our content and they've never been asked to come to our page. I usually do this about once a month.
Okay.
Just it's part of a routine for me, and I'll go do all my pages at the same time.
Now, is that what happens when you get a thing that pops up that says someone suggested that you would like that, or suggested for you or whatever?
Nope.
Or is this in an actual, like, you're invited to like this page?
This will show up in their notifications.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, which is different than the place you were talking about. So like if I wanted to go to, let me come over here real quick. So if I wanted to go to a page I like, and so this is one that I just liked today. And I can see invite your friends. I can see I have 25 friends that like this page. That's not very many, especially within the organizer realm. There should be a lot more people that like this page. Other than this page, it's not really functioning. I mean, they are posting, but it's been almost a month. So they're not posting frequently. But I could come over, wrong thing, over here and invite your friends. What you just talked about when your friend asks you to like a page that they do not admin, this menu pops up and you can come through and choose who you want to invite. That will show up in that other space. When you admin a page, like with this one or with Blue Valpo or 92 County Strategy, when you come in and invite people who are engaging on your posts to like, I already did this one, sorry. When you invite them, it shows up in their notifications. It's a different spot. And I think it makes a world of difference. So
yeah.
I'm going to come back to the page here too. Some of our posts, like we have, and I know this is contrary to what a lot of people think, I do try to get more people engaged in pages and liking them. We have 3,649 people who like this page. It's not really a ton. I don't care. We've actually had posts that have popped to over 120,000 people.
Wow.
So it's not about having, I mean, there is an element of importance with having the number here, but really it's about getting your post out there to people, which is why a lot of times you'll see if I post something on my Blue Valpo page, it's going to get posted in groups across the board.
Right.
And what I'm doing is I am creating a Blue Valpo brand when I do that. And I get
That's what I do with 92.
I know, I've noticed you do that. But I notice a lot of people don't. And
no, they don't. And they, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of stuff I don't find out that's going on or happening, or, and if you are not paying to promote your ads, if you're not paying to promote your posts and you're not targeting demographics, then it is literally your only other option. You have to cross post. You need to, how you had all the different groups for all the different areas. If you've got something statewide, you need to post in every single one of those. And if there's someone that's in all of those groups, they're not going to get offended by seeing it in all of those groups because they're there because they want the kind of information you're putting out.
And actually, what happens too, if you have, so like you and I are in several groups together, you're absolutely right. I know you're not going to get offended. You're organizing, you want to know. What happens when people go to their news feed, if I happen to post and maybe only 2 people, actually have engaged with that post, but there's like a crossover for it. It's more likely to show up here in their news feed right at the top. And I'm going to see if I can find one that's doing that. It probably not right now because this is not a good time to post. Maybe in an hour it is. Well, in Indianapolis, it's a good time to post. So, okay, so I've had a couple friends share that. This is what you'll see. That little blurb.
Yeah.
It's almost invisible. This is an ad. You know, people don't register them as ads, but they're ads. They're in your newsfeed. Not the only place ads are getting delivered. They get delivered right here, you know?
Right.
So, and I guess I should talk about ads. I'm going to just do it brief. To me, that's like a whole other level. But that's the only way you can actually target, really target your demographics.
Right.
Let me see if I can find a good post. So like we only have 2 people that like this. I reached 943 people. I did 14 shares. If I would have bought an ad on this, I could have put $3 on it. Well, I take that back. You have to commit to $7 with Facebook. That's the minimum price. But I will go in and turn the ad off early. So maybe I only spend $2 or $3 once I reach my delivery number that my goal is. So, so like we reached 4,000 people on this. I only had 2 shares on that one, and we reached almost 4,000 people on. If I would have clicked boost post, I mean, for me, I have custom audiences set up in here already, but you do have to go through and spend some time familiarizing yourself with this. I always check what it looks like on mobile because 80% of people connect on Facebook and Twitter through mobile. If it doesn't look good, you just messed up your ad. I mean, this is all fine and dandy to look at the desktop, but it's got to look good here. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. So
now I've noticed on some of our advertising, when I boost a post, or if I boost something a couple of times close together, Facebook will give me a coupon.
Yes, they will.
Have you had that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. $10 free advertising, or if you get a post that gets a certain amount of traffic, it'll come up and it'll say, hey, we want to boost this specific post for you. Now, what I do is, because it'll be something that people have already looked at and they don't need to know about it, I will go in there and I will edit the original post and I will put in an event that's coming up. And I will replace the original post information with an upcoming event and basically get free advertising from my event.
Yeah. No, that's actually a common tactic. I think a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, but I think anybody who's on a budget is going to do that.
Yeah. I have 4 kids. I'm all about that budget.
Right. So you don't want to deliver something that you've already delivered to like your max audience size. You want to deliver
exactly.
So yeah, I think that's a really, really wise way to look at doing it and to take advantage of the little offers that they give you. So the one thing I will say is I do not buy ads for groups that have not been organized officially and legally in a way that's compliant with the IRS. And I know we have a lot of groups that are floating out there that aren't like that, but like 92 County Strategy, you can buy any ad any day of the week. If you're organized as a 501c3 organization, you can buy any ad any day of the week, as long as you don't ruin your IRS designation with your activity. With politics, so because nonprofits are not supposed to be engaged politically. So yeah, so this is, you know, I feel like that's something really critical. If anybody's going to get involved next year in candidates campaigns, this is something that's going to become very, very common. I feel like, you know, when we did Robert's campaign, we had a $100, actually, I didn't even spend $100 on all of his Facebook marketing. We put together a really cheesy, I mean, it wasn't cheesy, but it was not a slick video. This was like a home video we put together. We were able to reach thousands of people on like a $7 budget. And it made a huge difference in what we were able to accomplish for that candidate. When you are a progressive liberal and you're up against well-moneyed conservative interests, you have to use every single tool that's possible and available to get the job done. And you really have to understand your demographic and audience that you're trying to reach. So when you're doing your ads, you know, you can put a post button. That's fine. I'm not really interested in that. I prefer focusing on my audience. And you can choose your audience. You can see, I mean, I have 20 audiences in here right now. Um, and this is not even the ones for Robert's page. So like I have a public education supporter one. This was when I was doing a beer festival. Um, Get out the vote one. Just tons of different things. We were trying to find pourers to help us pour beer at a craft beer festival. And so that, I know. So that was an easy way to do that. This is where
Right.
they do your total ad budget. Depending on the size of your budget, you'll see it changes the number of people that you reach. You can choose how many days it's delivered over. That also changes the number of people that it's going to reach.
So what's your most effective? How much do you spend over a period of how many days? Like one of the things that I was lucky enough to be involved in was kind of a mentorship program through one of the state parties. And one of our seminar sessions, we discussed advertising, and they were talking about mailers, and that if you didn't have enough money to essentially get 4 to 5 physical mailers to an address, then it didn't really hold a lot of water to do it. People have to actually receive something that many times before they really stop and look at it instead of just throwing it away as junk mail. So it was very much if pay attention to your budget, because if you don't have enough money to do it all the way, you should really just focus on a different technique. So what is your guideline for buying a Facebook post?
I don't have like a number of deliveries guidelines. I'm going to go to Robert's page because I'm canceling promotion, obviously. I have my billing information in there. You can store multiple credit cards. I'm not going to do this post. But I'm going to go to Robert's page because I want to see if I can pull some of our ads that we did on there. Because we chose to do a series of ads. One of the things, and it's different for candidates than what we do as an organizer, but with candidates, the people that we needed to influence, most of them will not make their voting decision until like the week before the election.
Right.
That is statistically proven. I don't care what people say, the anecdotal crap, I don't care. Political scientists know what the heck they're doing, and people can argue about it all day long. Most people will not make their decision. And actually, most people won't make it until they go into the voting booth. That's how late it is. So we focused on our campaigns to hit within the last 2 weeks. We did a ton of walking in his campaign. We ran one, because that's all the money we had for it. We ran one mailed postcard, and that's it. But we made it a very strategic postcard. And we pulled a very strategic list from the Voter Access Network. And we were really targeting people that we knew we could turn. And the content on that postcard was really critical. We also were able to get it for a deal from a union shop in Florida that does 24-hour, they run a 24-hour crew. They have 3 shifts. So we were able to get that printed at a fraction of the cost compared to what we were able to do from some of our local vendors. Most of the time I prefer to work with local vendors, but in Valparaiso we have a total of 0 union shops that are printers. So when you're a Democrat and you're running for office, you choose a union shop. But
you better have that union bug. That's the first thing people look for. First thing I look for.
I know, I do too. Like, I want to see, is the candidate choosing a union shop or no? Because that says a lot about what they're looking for as far as workers go. However, my favorite print shop here in Valpo is a mom and pop shop. So they're not going to be union.
Right. So they're not union, but at the same time, you're supporting someone local that's, I saw a ad or a sign or something once, and it said something to the effect of, remember, when you're buying local, you're paying for like dance recital classes or something. Yeah. And it was like, that's true. And so I try to be more conscientious of that now. I don't just necessarily look for like the union and like the living wages and stuff. I also look for the little mom and pop shops that are just like family owned and operated.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh, let me see if I can go to, I'm going to see if I can get to it. So this was the cheesy little video that we did. Um,
Okay.
we actually posted it in multiple spaces, but, and let me make
I'm running for city
sure.
council.
Boop, the volume's down.
Now, guys, while she's pulling that up, just to remind you, we are nonpartisan here at 92 County Strategy. We are happy to work with anyone from any party that wants to cover any topic that attributes to our goals and satisfies our mission. So Candace is lucky enough, we are lucky enough to have her with us, and we're absolutely excited. But just remember, Candace is a Democrat, she's a progressive liberal, and she's very proud of that, and we're proud to have her here. But at 92, we are nonpartisan. So just so everyone remembers that. If you want to work with us, just reach out and let us know. I don't care who you're from, who you are, where you're from, or who you voted for last. I care that you're an honest person and you really care about serving your community. And if you have that and you want to talk, make sure you email us.
Yeah. And actually, I just want to clarify, I am not necessarily a proud Democrat. I used to be involved in the Democratic Party, and I am very jaded. Very jaded. But I am progressive.
Ditto.
So I apologize if I've offended any conservatives.
No, I think it's good to know. I think it's good to see that organizers are knowledgeable. I think it's good for people to realize that people like you and I and others, we are not just out here trying to tell people what to do. We're living it, we're breathing it, and we're passionate about it. So I don't think that's a bad thing. At 92 County Strategy, one of our biggest goals is to help people realize that the people that make the greatest effect are the ones that just felt the desire and felt the need and the pull to get involved and do a good job at it. And you exemplify that. So I don't see anyone being offended over someone being passionate about making sure that people are put before politics.
Mm-hmm. So,
at least I hope not. And if you are, let me know.
And I apologize if I have offended people. So these are Robert's ads right here that we ran. And we came up with a campaign slogan for him. It was "Every voice counts." He did have a full platform. He was actually the only candidate. Our mayor didn't even have a full platform. But he did have a full platform when he ran for office. And we developed a logo for him. It was actually what I call a comprehensive strategic campaign for a political candidate. And we ran multiple ads. I'm trying to find. We had one ad that targeted women of a specific age group. It was more about what kind of community we wanted to raise our kids in. We had ads that were targeted towards folks who were a little older and what their needs are for retirement and growing old. You know, we microcosmed down. Let me see if so. This was one that we paid a little bit. We had a $55 budget. I'm wondering if it shows. It shows $0 spent. So I don't know what is actually going on here with this because we never had a $55 budget on anything. I'm assuming because it's old, it's odd.
Could be. Now, one thing. Now, Candace, I know our program generally runs from 9 to 10, and we're already over our time. So I know that we're supposed to go over the Action Network and what did you call the Twitter thing?
That's TweetDeck, which we do need.
TweetDeck.
So this may be the problem is we may need to just sort of go through each one individually.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what we should do. I think we should set up now for anybody listening. I'm getting married this month. I will not be here. We will not be holding an activist hour the 4th Thursday of October. I apologize. If you guys want to hop online and talk to each other and figure out what you want to see or hear about next, that would be fantastic. But our next session right now, we are looking at in November. And we were looking at doing Robert's Rules, but I'm thinking about pushing that back so we can go ahead and get this done. So I'm thinking that we will get together after this and set up a couple of sessions coming up to go over the Action Network on its own and TweetDeck and really get into these, because you have showed us so much tonight on Facebook that I was not aware of. And I mean, that Indiana Progressive Liberals page, that is a huge page. I didn't even realize that you could get that type of information on pages. So it makes me want to go look at my little pages and grow them.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about this. And I think everybody that listens and goes over your tutorial tonight is just going to be just be so excited about all of the information that they're getting, because this is information that, you know, we're just learning really as a culture, as a, I guess, organizer culture, I guess you could call us a subgroup. We're really just learning how to utilize all of these techniques, and you having this experience and sharing it with us is just tremendous. Like bringing, you know, the idea of bringing other people along with you, and that is just so wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate being able to be here, and I apologize. I know I was not expecting Facebook to take this long, and I probably said the same thing at our last session we were together, where I was like, wow, we went really far over. So yeah, we should wrap up, and you know, we can come back, and I'm happy. I mean, I love doing these, so I'm happy to come on and answer questions. I feel like next year is going to be critical, especially if we have a lot of people who are running for office, and I'm hoping that we do. So
absolutely.
Nobody who's like deeply ingrained in the political system would be fantastic. So that would be a good opportunity for me to come on and potentially talk about some of these ads and the way that we run them, you know. So
yeah, I definitely agree.
I get into targeting. This was before, you know, which, I mean, you can see with, and he was a Democrat. We put under our detailed targeting, and I just want to finish this real quick because I finally got it to poll, but we put some of the other pages that we felt like would target people who would potentially vote for Robert.
Right.
Then we put a geographic restriction on it and age group restrictions. It really was fairly accurate when we added, like, I mean, I even put Nobel Peace Prize, NPR, PBS, Peace, Planned Parenthood, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Democratic Party, Bill Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Barack, those were our top two. So, you know, this is where you can go in and piggyback off of the work that other people have done with your ads.
That's fantastic.
And it does target it. You're going to have a better audience when you go in and do this detailed targeting. And you can go...
and it's... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, and this is the thing, I'm not even going to say because it's going to take forever, but you can go in and also do detailed targeting. It's not showing here because that's a feature that started after we did this, but you can go in and do detailed targeting based on likelihood that someone is a certain political leaning. They have all of these features. Facebook's been collecting years and years of data on everybody. You can target it that way. I know some people don't like that idea. But I think if I come back and we ever do something that's just on purchasing ads and coming up with ad strategy that's comprehensive, that's something I can get into more detail on. If, you know, that's something next year or whenever. So, but I think next we should either pick TweetDeck or Action Network, and I'd be happy to talk about either one of those. Action Network helps you fundraise, just to be clear.
Well, that's definitely something we need to look into, especially for our small-town candidates that we're trying to push here through 92.
So, okay. This up too, because it looks like, what, November 9th, is that the next one you're doing?
Yep, November 9th is the next one. We have it up for Robert's Rules, but like I said, I think maybe we'll push that back because Robert's Rules right now, as important as it is, we're not seeing a lot of it utilized at the moment. We're not really in traditional resolution season. We're not coming up on a convention. We're not running delegates right now. But running for state delegate in your political party and running for precinct committee person for your political party is really important. And these rules are essential to maneuvering within that environment. So we're definitely going to cover them, but I think we're going to come back later in the year and do that and really hammer this social networking, because like I said, when you are on a budget and you are, are look like a school board candidate and you really want to get your name out there. School board is, to me, one of the most important offices that there are. And there's not nearly enough conversation about the platforms of the people that want to run our schools. So, when you're thinking about running for offices like that, these types of targeted ads, these types of organizing, when you're talking about a race that really, honestly, generally are decided by less than 100 votes in a lot of these areas, these can be huge techniques and really draw so much information and so much support with very little effort and very little time. So I definitely think we're going to move Robert's rules back, and we're going to push into more of the Action Network and TweetDeck and Slack especially.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think we should do that. So everybody that has joined us tonight, everyone that's going to be watching us later on, please, if you have questions, don't forget to email them to us at 92counties@gmail.com, or get us on our website at in92.org. We love having you. We love getting your questions and your suggestions and your ideas, and just keep sending them to us, because this is for you. We're just volunteers from across the state. Nobody gets paid to do this. No one gets really credit for this. This is just us trying to bring each other along and help each other up and inspire people to run for office and give them the tools to do it. So I definitely think that we're going to move into this a little bit more deeply now that I am seeing how advantageous this information is going to be to every one of our listeners and viewers.
Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody, for letting me talk to you for an hour and 15 minutes. So.
Well, I thank you, Candace, again for coming out. And anyone that has any questions, just email us, and we will be happy to answer them for you. And we will have Candace back on very soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great night.